y'all, Shelly here with another tip for hospice nurses. So we take care of a lot of patients with dementia, and of those patients, a number of them may have hallucinations. And in my experience, most of the time, the hallucinations are ones that make them happy, that bring them joy, that they really aren't bad hallucinations. And we tend to not do much about those because it's really probably enhancing the patient's life and making them happy. But I've had patients before that have had scary hallucinations, things that they see things that scare them. And I can't imagine this. To me, that's got to be just so scary. So I always, when I'm admitting a patient or I'm taking on a new patient, I spend some time with the caregiver and with the patient, but talking about the hallucinations and finding out if they do scare them at all. And if they do, we will do a few things to try and make that better for the patient. One thing I found, you talk to the doctor, Seroquel I have found helps a lot. Usually it's going to be the higher doses. You start lower and titrate up, but I've found we usually end up somewhere around 200 milligrams at night, 100 in the morning, and sometimes 50 midday, depending on the severity of the hallucinations. But I have found that Seroquel does help significantly with these scary hallucinations. Some other things you can do are changing things in the environment. Like I had this one patient one time who was really scared of this man in a top hat in the corner of her room. And only at certain times of the day. Like she wasn't scared of him all the time. He wasn't always there. So I spent some time with her in her room, and I could see that the shadows casting through the window changed throughout the day. So I didn't know if that's what was triggering it. But what we did is ended up lighting up all the corners of her room very well. So she could see the corners and everything in there clearly. And these lights stayed on for these areas of the room all day long. Also, there was another bedroom on the other side of her room, and the person there had a TV that was up against the wall, and it would cause the wall to vibrate and make these really weird sounds. Like you couldn't tell it was a TV. It was just weird sounds that it made. So we moved the TV from that wall to a different wall, so we got rid of that background sound. And this helped a lot for the patient as far as reducing the hallucinations. So I recommend, first of all, if you have a patient with dementia, determining if they're having these hallucinations and if they're scary, spending some time with them to figure out what could be the cause of them, what could be triggering them, and doing things to help reduce that. I don't ever recommend trying to convince the person that they're not real, because as you know, you're not going to convince them. They're still just going to be scared. So acknowledging that and helping to reduce any of the surrounding areas that are causing or contributing to the hallucinations can be very helpful. So I hope this tip was helpful. If you have any tips that you think could be helpful for hospice nurses, please let me know. I'd love to share them here. And remember, together we can change our world.